Hello, and welcome to another episode of Debunking the Vigilant Christian. In this video, we're again going to take a look at a video from his series Vigilant Manhood 101. And yes, I am aware that I called it Biblical Manhood 101 in my previous video on his series. But really, does the fecal matter we're about to take a look at change in any way if I say it was squeezed out from a cow or a bull? I don't think so. And yes, I will be using stronger language in this video, as this is, without a doubt, the most sexist and misogynist video he's put out thus far. Let's just get right into this, shall we?
Hey everyone, you're here with Vigilant Christian Mario, and you're here for another edition of Vigilant Manhood 101. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how men and women are created equal but different. This is very important for us to understand in this video series if we truly want to have a strong relationship and know exactly what God had intended in terms of our roles, what men are called to do and what women are called to do, and that's what we're going to dive into here today. So let's get right into it.
Because screw gender equality and women's rights, women aren't just property and not people.
So as the title says here, we're talking about equality but also differences. The best way to illustrate these differences is through understanding a philosophy and a principle that I would like to call the pink and blue philosophy. So commonly, men, boys, when we're born, we associate the color blue to them, and women the color pink. So this is to identify that, they are equal, but there's differences. Young little boys get cars, and little girls get Barbies. So there's an obvious difference, not just physiologically, but mentally. The way that the child is going to look at the life is going to be dependent on this aspect. Boys will look at the world through blue lenses, while women will look at the world through pink lenses.
I'm already feeling sorry for any kids you'll ever produce, if you're even capable of that, for having to grow up with this black and white perspective.
And unless we truly understand this, we're going to have struggles within our relationships. We're going to expect our husband to see things in a pink way, or vice versa. We're going to expect our wives to see things in blue ways. So we need to be conscious and realize that we are different, and that we need to respect these differences by acknowledging them and respecting them.
Well, yeah, if the people you're talking about are still stuck in the dark ages like you are, I can guarantee you that if you tried this with any woman that's not one of your mindless followers, they'd probably slap you right about now.
So that's a fundamental principle. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through the different roles, starting off with the men. God has given each of us a specific role to play, and if we don't fulfill this role, we're not going to be successful in our relationships and our marriages. So let's start off with the men. So what is the role that God has ordained for men to take?
Oh, I can think of several roles for you in life. Gong farmer, worker in a workhouse, ass, dick, idiot, mindless drone.
Well, the first one that I would like to point out is men are called to be providers. If you go back in time, when the world wasn't so developed, men were the ones that would go hunt and gather and bring that back to the wife and the children.
Wait. Stop. You're not referring to the Paleolithic 8,000 years ago, are you? You know, the one you clearly believe never happened.
This is still supposed to be done, and even in Scripture it says that a man who doesn't provide for his own household is worse than an infidel. So we're called to be providers. Now, there's a financial aspect to that as well, but it goes beyond that. You need to provide love, attention, care, and there's a whole bunch of things that a man needs to be providing.
Nice save, jackass.
The other thing that men are called to do is to be the teacher, the spiritual head of the family. So he is to be the priest. He's to instruct his children as well as his wife in the ways of the Lord. This is important because the head of the man is Christ. So we are the ones who are supposed to have a very intimate relationship with God and His Word so that we can then instruct our wives and our children in the ways of the Lord.
And the best way to do that is to beat the shit out of them. I mean, that's exactly what it says in your book of stories. Or are you going to try to weasel your way out of this one too?
Another thing that we're called to do is protect. If you just look at the physiological body of the man, he is made more muscular and strong than females.
Surprisingly, that's actually true, and I find it ironic that you would in fact mention the sexual dimorphism between man and woman. But I feel you're going to pour trash on that at some point, aren't you?
This is because God has called us to be protectors of our children and our wives. The example that can be used, as I'm pulling up on the screen, is a lion. The enemy is compared in Scripture to a lion who seeks to devour and destroy and steal and kill absolutely anything he can.
Actually, in a lion's tribe, it's the females that do the hunting and killing. But I can't imagine why you would deliberately choose to ignore that.
And men of God, let me tell you, that devil is after your children and he's after your wife. You need to stand vigilant and be a strong protector spiritually and everything. Okay, and if you're not fulfilling this role, you're going to be your house isn't going to stand strong.
Well, if it's built on a muddy foundation like you have, of course not.
The next thing is that God has called men to be the head of the household. It is us who have the final say. It is us who are to stand above everyone else because we're there to protect, to provide, to help them grow.
Yeah, it's moments like these where I wish that Keto, the captain of the Anaconda from Anno 2070, was actually a real person and actually had an order to hunt you down and eliminate you.
An analogy that I like using is like in an automobile. Now, there are two seats in the front of an automobile, but there's just one steering wheel. So what God has ordained is that men are the drivers. Now, your wife can tell you directions and she can make suggestions, but ultimately your hands are on the wheel, and at the end, when we get judged, there's going to be more of a judgment on you because you had the controls.
See what I mean with this being the most sexist and misogynist thing he's ever put out? Also, I want to bet that his navigation system, if he has one, has a male voice.
And you better be steering that car correctly. Now, what we see in modern culture, especially nowadays, is there's an inversion of roles. Women are now trying to drive. And this, if this is happening in the relationship, if the woman has the leadership role, if she's the one who has the final say, you're not living a biblically correct relationship. That's dysfunctional.
You mean to tell me that when you were a kid, your mom never drove you anywhere ever? What a complete pile of horseshit. Also, with this attitude, I can see why you're a personal trainer. You get to talk down to people, especially women.
That's what the enemy is trying to do. He's trying to mess up God's divine order. And God's divine order clearly states that the man is the head and he is the one with the final say. So we need to do this. And before you're even able, men, to go ahead and grab that steering wheel and steer the direction of your family, you need to, first of all, you need to man up.
Testosterone levels over 9,000.
Man, the man is supposed to be a warrior. He's supposed to go out there and do battle. He's supposed to be strong, resistant. The image that I like to paint is that a man is like a knight in shining armor, and your woman is like a damsel in distress, and she's looking for that strong leadership, that strong drive, passion, energy, and will to succeed and to do your best. That is what she's desiring.
You're being pretty presumptuous, aren't you? I mean, there are about 500 million women in the Western world, and you really have the arrogance to speak for all of them?
Now, the other thing I want to touch on is the role of women in these relationships. A lot of this is being confused in our modern day culture. God has called women to be nurturers, to be mothers, to be compassionate, to be caring and delicate and kind. Physiologically, the woman is the womb, the one that gives birth to the children. And honestly, there's nothing more beautiful than a strong, godly mother. Honestly, as a child, you most oftentimes should gravitate towards your mother. She's the one who's caring and nurturing. Just to discuss the way that God created the woman, He created the man on the one hand strong and powerful, but on the other hand, He created the woman delicate, soft, just like a flower, beautiful, gentle. And when a woman truly steps into her femininity, it should turn a man right on, and he should just strive to lay down his life and do everything he possibly can for her.
Okay, no. You know what? Fuck this horseshit. I'm not having any more of this. I'll just sum up the rest of the video for you. He bitches about how women are evil and how they dare have their own opinion, especially in a relationship. He bashes feminists, which I would actually be okay with if it weren't for the fact that he's bashing all of them, not just the Rebecca Watsons of this world. And lastly, he tells women to look pretty and smile a lot. Because, hey, women are just decorations, right? I mean, seriously, what can you say about this? If anyone can make it through the second half of this video, go ahead. Try. As for me, I think I'm going to watch Mulan and Princess Mononoke several times to get this misogynist taste out of my mouth. So this has been the Lord of the Underworld. Take care of yourself, and ladies, if you're subscribed to this loon, you're not doing yourself any favors.